Good morning, everyone. Today is October the 25th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. I still am in Finland. We'll be here for almost a week, and then I'll be back on track. Next Wednesday, we will also not have recording, but Friday, I will be back in the States, and hopefully jet lag would not have killed me because I land Thursday afternoon. All right, let's take a look at the week. We've given back almost all of last week. Fridays are normally bullish. Today we've got consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. and what else? Durable good orders at 8:30. Other than that, nothing much going on. So let's take a closer look. There's the week. We see what's going on with the week. With the day, notice we're in this channel. The deep buys remain buy zones. Now we know this from the week. Why? We have upward momentum and we have upward trend. That's what we want to think about. So for today, what are we looking at? I drew out the value area coming in right after the London Open, and we're now about to break out through the London Open. My suspicion is that we head up here into 58.70 and potentially 58.80, where we've been spending a lot of time and energy. I like the short action up here, but momentum and trend tell us dip buys are what we need to consider, taking it long into first value area high, 58.75, and then all the way up to 58.85. All right. So could the dips come back into the point of control at 58.49? Yes. What do we need to think about? Once we get inside of this London area candlestick, we must consider that it will fade. So if you're looking for longs, step aside and wait for the test of that zone. If it bounces and it cannot get up over the London high, then we have the rotation back down into 58.37. All right, that's what we're looking at for the ES, but dips remain buy zones. Let's take a look at the NQ coming into the week. Of course, Tesla had a monster run. That strangle that we put on, I closed mine early and it still delivered 560%. This morning, looks like it might have a little bit more juice. I don't know. But into the close yesterday, it was almost at 260. And that would have given us right at 1,000% return on that strangle, which is extraordinary. It's one of those rare events that happens, and we happen to catch it pretty nicely. All right, let's go to the day. We see topping formations, and we are underneath both hulls. That means a relative high has been made until it gets breached. So what this tells us is trend still up. Deep dips have been buys, and so we saw 2 days ago we had a really deep dip into the 20,080-ish area. I had 20,051 as that zone. We bounced really hard, really fast, and we are trying to recover 20,550. Now, 20,550 is a little bit of a big fat round number. However, the 20,600 area is a little bit more important. And so I would say dips or buys. You can see we're above the high of yesterday, but right here at the point of control. Look at how many days. It looks like about 20 days of trading motion in this area. So it's going to be very noisy. I say let it expand up here into 20,600. That makes a nice short. Or let it come down into 20,262, 265, see if it catches a bid. And that should give us a long. Right here in the center, it's truly any man's game. On the 1 hour chart, it clearly is telling us dips or buy zones. We want to watch for the value area to shift. We want to see what happens with the point of control. Okay, if the point of control stays down here as price action moves, we should revert. But if it rises along with price, it could mean, listen, there are higher prices ahead onto the day. We're inside of that 4 a.m. candlestick. The midnight candlestick is way down here at 20,386, 375, somewhere around there. We have not tested it. Statistically speaking, we should, unless this point of control begins to move up, and then we can see acceleration up into the 20,517, 520, 20,550. And, you know, if it gets up over this 20,600 area and it doesn't collapse, it's going to give us another blow off top into 20,640. Right? Right now, we are clearly in a dip buying zone. Take a look. Very high momentum. And we're sitting above all of these moving averages. And so it tells me that right now, the sweet spot is about 20,400 that we can buy. We can rotate up. We just need to get up and over 20,450 because that is that upward pressure that could collapse and send us back down into the very noisy point of control area and that zone around 360 to 380. Really kind of messy. Let's take a look at the YM from a weekly perspective. Look at this. We've almost given back 2 weeks of advances. We are sitting at a very important spot, 20,656. And we should see trend is up, higher lows, higher highs. We should be able to force ourselves back up into maybe 43,000, the round area. It could shake the trees, get up to 43,040, and then break down. All right. I believe that traders are taking profits after this pretty sizable move to the upside. Now, this is the only chart that shows us at the bottom of the channel. All the other charts that we've looked at, and you can review and go backwards on the recording, you can see that they're all sitting about this midline space. So this one has moved a little deeper, a little faster. And so my suspicion is that it's going to try and bounce up into this 43 area. Now, what are we looking at? Well, our daily is down. That's not what's showing in the other ones, but that's because of this big upward move. So on the weekly formations, it's still a buy the dip. On the daily formations, old resistance, new support. Still looks like dip buying to me in this space, but it would be nice to get a good fill at around maybe 20,500. We'll see what happens at that 8:30 reading. Today I will be on IBD. So for those of you that have IBD live, love for you to come in and have a look around, spend the day with me. For those of you that don't, you can always get a free trial. And I think it's, I don't know how long it is, but it's a nice place. So what are we looking at here? See this pocket, this range, break. And so if we're going to stare down this range and we're going to say, you know, looks like a breakout to me, and we clone it and we see, all right, where might we head? It's 42,751, and then above that, 42,850, and then above, woo, I don't want to do that. Should have locked it. And then above that, we have this motion to the north. So we are in a breakout range. This was the range that we built and built and built. This is the next range here at 42,752, which is about twice the size of this, right? If we move it up here, we can see this is the first area they're going to come in and say, oh, I think I might short that one. And if they do and pull back and hold these moving averages and this trend stays the same, we've got ourselves more upside pressure. All right, that's super important to remember. Okay, let's take a look at SPY. If we take a look at the weekly, retracing, looks a lot like the ES, retracing, but strong dip buying, coming down old resistance, new support. I'm going to move this line down a hair. Looks like about 573 this week. It came in, tried to bounce. Now the question is, can it get up over last week's motion? Let's see how the day is looking. We can see that most of these are near the center, and this is no different. By these, I mean this channel. definitely upward trend, old resistance, new support. So that looks like about, if I put it at the wicks, that's almost spot on 574. And this puts us back in the range. So I'm going to delete this horizontal line because this one looks a little bit more important to me. Support, 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 breaks by almost twice the amount, actually maybe a little bit more than twice the amount, into old resistance. And so what's it going to do? Probably going to try and test new resistance. So a lot of stuff looks bullish. Here's the problem on the daily chart. We got a cross current. The longer hull is still holding straight up, shorter hull down. We clearly can see that there's a resistance edge up here that's being built. So trading from 580 to 585, not a bad idea. Let's go to the Qs. Oops, you know what? I did not look at the hourly chart for us on SPY. Let's get back. Oh, I didn't even know that was a ticker. All right, so let's go to the hourly. Okay, so the hourly is messy, and this makes perfect sense. Here's the resistance. That's the point of control right here. This is 2 days ago. That was the 8 o'clock. No, this was the 8 o'clock candle yesterday. This is today's, day before yesterday's 8 o'clock candlestick. You know, I think we're going to try and test the top of that, just like we did here on the wick. Momentum looks good. So we've got to wait for these hourly candles if we're looking at a longer term formation. We have to look at these hourly candlesticks to watch them break down. That is something that, you know, we're really staring hard into at this time. So far, dips or buys, right? Dips or buy zones came in. There's the 4 o'clock candlestick formation. We're breaking out of it. My thought is we go 581, 582, and potentially 583 with the big extension up at 585. Let's take a look at the Qs. Here we have 498. That's a topping formation from a weekly perspective, right? No real trend per se, right? Almost a rising wedge of sorts. So, I mean, if I tried to draw a channel there, it would be very wide, right? Very wide and very tall. And so this is the reason I did not draw one here. It's just, I don't know what it's telling me. In this juncture, I really can't tell anything definitive that I can't see from just this space. We are below the close of the prior week, so we're giving back a little bit, but trend is still up. Look at the higher lows on these candlesticks. We could easily test this floor, 481, but it seems more likely that this one sits inside of the range. Here's the thing though, if we come into the day and we get to below the low of the prior day, right, which is about here at, I thought 490 would give us the lift. It actually was 489.50. How do you use a line that I draw and then gets broken? Well, you wait for it to recover, and then you see it go into resistance. That's how you use it, particularly if you've got trend in your favor. Okay, so this is yesterday's 8 o'clock candlestick coming right into it, but the point of control is very high up here. And so we could easily get into value area high 495 and change, and then come back into value area low. We could have a whippy day. We could have a day of nothing, or we could have a day that just buys the dip. What we really have to do is say what makes sense. And here's the VWAP at 492. If it comes back into that area, just look for the risk and then position yourself accordingly. Last thing I want to look at is oil. Oil is trying to hold this 70 zone. It is my thought that 69 to 70 is that sweet spot of traders trying to hold a floor in oil while things get squared away, however they're going to get. From a weekly perspective, we're seeing that we're in a fairly downside formation. Right? This is downside. And interestingly, if we have a Republican that comes in and says, hey, listen, we want natural gas, oil exploration, this is going to continue to fall. Why? Because it's going to drive the amount of resources up. right? So the prices will fall continually. Now, I don't think they're going to do anything before the election because we don't know who's going to be doing what, right? But we can also see fairly clearly, no, you know what, I'll use this. We have ourselves, nope, we have ourselves a trend line event that is fairly solid, right? That's a pretty wide range, and they're coming into this floor and bouncing. If we cannot get above 71 and maybe 20, 71, maybe 20 cents, we are going to get back to the floorboards of these lower prices. We simply are. Okay? All right. That's it for me, folks. I will see you on Monday, and have a good trading day. Stay frosty. Keep your size small.